This is Optimal Finance Daily, Episode 2. Which part of the money wave do you surf? By Mr. Money Mustache of MrMoneyMustache.com.
Get ready to maximize your potential with Optimal Finance Daily, the podcast that brings you the best content in personal finance 5 days a week. Your optimal life awaits. Now here's your host, Dan Warren.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Optimal Finance Daily. This is where I read to you from some of the best personal finance blogs on the planet. Yesterday, for our very first podcast episode ever, we heard from Ramit Sethi of IWillTeachYouToBeRich.com, and today we've got a blog post from Mr. Money Mustache of MrMoneyMustache.com. Now, these two, Ramit and Mr. Money Mustache, are actually really pretty different in terms of their advice that they give and in terms of the way that they think about money and think about saving and think about spending. So it's interesting to get the contrast of Ramit and Mr. Money Mustache on back-to-back days. My wife is, as I said yesterday, a fan of Ramit. She's also a big fan of Mr. Money Mustache. So they're both really valuable, actually, in terms of what they have to say, and you can kind of take the best of both worlds. That's what my wife and I do in our financial planning. Now, there's a gift for you at the end of today's show, so if you like free stuff, and who doesn't like free stuff, make sure you listen all the way to the end. But for now, let's start optimizing your life. Which part of the money wave do you surf? By Mr. Money Mustache of MrMoneyMustache.com. One of the silliest objections I run across to the mustachian lifestyle is the concept that it is extreme. Mr. Money Mustache needs to go out and buy more shit right now because otherwise he's depriving himself and his family too. You only live once, and what good is money if you don't spend it on yourself? You can't take it with you. You might imagine my fists starting to clench at such a statement, but in reality, I admire the sentiment behind it. Yes, we really should live life to its fullest, and I'm doing my best to do so right now. My disagreement is only regarding the detailed tactics on how to do it. So today we're going to take a trip to the beach for our lesson. You see, I spent this past winter in Hawaii, and pretty much every day I jumped in the ocean to play in the big waves of Kauai's beaches. Although I haven't learned to surf yet, I still did my best to catch rides on the waves on a stand-up paddleboard, on boogie boards, and even with just my own frantically swimming arms. Sometimes you get your timing wrong, and the wave just passes under you or crashes on your head. But in certain magical situations, you can wedge yourself into the sloped wall of water and just stick there, roaring diagonally across the shoreline for free until you're deposited way up in the shallows next to all the sandcastles. What an amazing feeling. Eventually, the Hawaiian vacation ended, and the MMM family had to pack up our stuff and return to Colorado. But the feeling of the waves came home with me, and I have noticed that the same pattern comes up in our financial lives as well. Your life and mine, and the very different lives of our spendy-pants opponents. Some people just can't seem to get ahead. They get up early every weekday and get to work on time every day. On the second and fourth Friday of each month, they collapse into the couch, having earned a much-needed paycheck. Despite the 80 hours invested, they won't be keeping any of that money because it is already all spoken for. Student loan payments, car payments, credit card interest, a mortgage or rent, and any number of additional bills. They could stop the work, but the bills would keep coming, leaving them rapidly swamped. Other people have a sensible cushion and are not so afraid of losing their jobs, but still could not imagine retiring early. Where would the money come from? And they enjoy the luxuries they have earned at this point in their lives. Best to keep working so as to afford them. Finally, there are the wealthy people. Many of you are among them, and some have even retired early. They've got a pretty cushy life. It's the full American middle-class all-you-can-eat buffet, with just a few of the fatty edges of the steak trimmed off. We don't even have to go to work to sustain this lifestyle, and we can go anywhere or do or buy whatever we want at any time. Considered on a practical level, it is as complete a freedom as any generation of humans has ever known. The funny part is that, in theory, all three of these groups could be living at exactly the same level of spending. The only difference is the portion of the wave upon which they are surfing. The struggling person has debt. It's an absolutely destructive and useless thing to bring into your life, unless done on an investment basis with a calculator firmly in hand. Debt used to finance luxuries just creates a backward current on your life. Suddenly you must paddle fiercely just to stay in one place. Just a few feet forward on the exact same wave rides the debt-free person. Everything they earn can be applied to spending, which means they have much more power to buy things when compared to the indebted person. A few feet ahead of the debt-free surfer is the investor. This person doesn't subscribe to the statement, money is no good unless you spend it. Quite the opposite, their belief is, money does you no good if you just go out and spend it. Because the investor has put most of her past earnings to work, there's now an unstoppable wave behind her, pushing her along whether she decides to work or not. Any additional work will push her forward very quickly, and spending in moderation won't knock her off the wave. All three of them may be moving along at the same speed, buying the same stuff, and living the same lifestyle. And they're only a few feet apart. They can converse freely over the roar of the water, because the difference between wealth and poverty is only really changing a few spending habits until you amass a sufficient stash. But the level of struggling and cubicle sitting and clock punching and money stressing is completely different, just because of how they have positioned themselves. The lesson is therefore to get yourself to the front of that wave. Whether you value the simple living philosophy of Mr. Money Mustache, or your goal is a Walmart-sized garage full of Bentleys, the only efficient way to get there is on the front of the wave. If you do your shopping too early in life, like the 99% tend to do, you're screwed. Instead, why not lie down and paddle a bit first? You'll look better when you eventually stand up anyway, sporting a well-pumped set of frugality muscles. Okay, you just listened to the post titled, Which Part of the Money Wave Do You Surf? By Mr. Money Mustache of MrMoneyMustache.com. If you have any comments about this post or the author, maybe a personal experience or two regarding this topic, go ahead and let us know all about it. Come visit oldpodcast.com, that's OLDpodcast.com, and share your thoughts with us. And I mentioned at the top of the show that if you were diligent enough to listen to the entire post, which you have done, congratulations, there is a free gift in it for you, and that is a really easy way to keep track of your income and expenses. Justin from Optimal Living Daily made it from scratch just for you using macros in Excel, and it even comes with a free video tutorial to get you started. So to get that, all you have to do is to join the weekly newsletter. How do you do that? Well, I'll tell you. You text the word financial to 44222 or visit oldpodcast.com, OLDpodcast.com. Again, it's completely free, plus you'll be entered to win a book each and every month. And that is episode 2 of the podcast. I'll catch you tomorrow where your optimal life awaits.
Hello, Life Optimizer. This is Justin Malik, creator and producer of this podcast, but also Optimal Living Daily, the show where I read to you from even more blogs covering finance, productivity, minimalism, personal development, and more from amazing bloggers like Derek Sivers, Zen Habits, The Minimalists, and all the ones you hear on this show too. So if you enjoyed today's episode and like taking amazing blogs on the go, come on over to Optimal Living Daily and subscribe to that one too. And together, we'll start optimizing your life.
You've been listening to Optimal Finance Daily. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on each new episode and head to oldpodcast.com, that's OLDpodcast.com, for a free gift as well as more actionable tips and resources to help you maximize your potential. Thanks for joining us, and remember, your optimal life awaits.